Welcome everyone, my name is Philippe. I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel. The purpose of this YouTube channel is to talk about cryptocurrency and various other interesting topics that I find interesting to talk about. So today we're going to be talking about Amazon and XRP. And the reason I want to talk about Amazon and XRP, it's not because I've seen speculation about whether there's a partnership between Amazon and XRP in the subreddit, on YouTube, and various other platforms where people share information about XRP, but the actual use case. What would Amazon benefit? How would Amazon benefit by using XRP? How could a corporation like Amazon benefit from using XRP? And I've been doing a lot of research, and I've created this sort of back of the envelope calculation, meaning that just throwing out certain figures which would make sense to a company like Amazon to adopt a cryptocurrency like XRP in order to increase their bottom line. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about cryptocurrency here. And at the moment, there are not a lot of use cases for cryptocurrencies, for various different cryptocurrencies. So taking a company like Ripple and taking their cryptocurrency like XRP, what use case does XRP provide to a major Fortune 500 company? Why would they utilize this cryptocurrency? And I think I found the answer. So this is a back of the envelope calculation. Once again, I have no knowledge of whether Amazon is working with XRP or they're in talks with Ripple. I have no knowledge of that. I just am looking at Amazon as a company, and I'm looking at Ripple as a company, and I'm seeing how Amazon could use Ripple's XRP technology in order to increase their bottom line. So I'm going to have the calculations right here so you can follow along, but I have a sheet in front of me, just basically numbers, statistics, and then we're going to walk through how exactly I think that Amazon's bottom line would be increased by using XRP. So the way we're going to approach this today is we're going to be talking about Amazon FBA. So Amazon FBA is basically Amazon fulfillment by Amazon. And basically, it is separated into two categories. When you go on Amazon, if you have a Prime membership, you have sellers, third-party sellers, and you have Amazon as a seller. So if you see on certain listings, it says shipped and sold by Amazon, but there on other listings, it may say shipped and sold by X party. And that X party usually has a fulfillment by Amazon banner over their seller listing. And basically that means that you can get that 2-day free shipping, whether you buy it from Amazon or whether you buy it from that third-party seller. And the reason why third-party sellers are so important on Amazon is because they compromise. They are part, many of the sales that Amazon gets yearly. It's, I believe, over 51% of the sales on the platforms are actually sold by third-party sellers. So third-party sellers make up a large portion of Amazon's revenue. The reason why Amazon is so big is because they offer a wide variety of products, and they couldn't do it by themselves. They can't sell everything. So by including third-party sellers, they have a wider scope of items that they can offer to the everyday consumer, ultimately increasing the value of their Prime membership, ultimately getting more people on their Amazon platform. And that's why Amazon constitutes almost half of all online sales today, because of that wide network array of third-party sellers and products that Amazon offers. So the number of third-party sellers, and I'm going to link my sources below in the description. The number of third-party sellers on Amazon is 1,919,957 sellers. And this is including Amazon FBA in the United States, Amazon FBA in the UK, in France, Italy, Spain, Germany, China. There are various different Amazon FBA platforms, and the number of sellers being added onto the platform every day continues to rise. So you have 1.9 million sellers, and the number of sellers with at least one feedback review in a year is 1.254 million sellers. So 1,254,236 sellers have at least one review on the Amazon platform. And the reason why this is important is because an Amazon review typically means that that seller has created a sale on the platform. So money is being exchanged. And this is all going to tie into Ripple at the end. This is all going to tie into why working with Ripple would make sense. So let's assume that some sellers with no feedback still receive sales. So from that 1.9 million to that 1.2 million, let's round up to 1.587 million. And basically this represents the number of sellers that I predict, that I speculate have had at least one sale on the Amazon platform. And this one sale represents a transaction of money from party A to party B. So this is where it's going to tie in. And basically, this statistical assumption takes into consideration that nearly 3,000 new sellers are added to the platform daily. The number does increase based on seasonality, and chances are that Amazon will continue to expand every quarter forward. They seem to break their seller records of the previous year. So they're still in their growth phase. And, this year alone, just to show, 501,646 sellers joined all of Amazon's marketplaces. So most of these sellers, these 1.587 million sellers, are paid on a bi-monthly schedule. So that means that they receive 2 checks per month. So every 2 weeks, a seller will receive checks for the sales that they've had for the previous 2 weeks. And the 2 payments per month for the being dispersed to the 1.587 million sellers usually takes around 5 business days for money to appear in that seller's bank account. It could take from 3 to 5 business days. For newer sellers, it's going to take longer because there's a certain buffer period. But for older sellers, it might take 3 days. But there's still a lag between the sell date and the money showing up in the seller's account. And you see why this is a problem here, because there's the liquidity of a business that's selling on Amazon is not there. A business has to wait 2 weeks in order to get their seller's check, and on top of that, when it clears, you have to wait. Once the period ends, you have to wait another 3 to 5 business days or 3 to 5 days in order to receive the funds into your account. Amazon would benefit by having faster transaction periods, so money settling at a quicker speed, because sellers would be able to basically reinvest that money and offer more items on the platform, get more sales, bring more traffic onto the Amazon platform, and Amazon would ultimately grab a larger lion's share of the online marketplace sales, including offline marketplace sales that are tempted just to buy because of the stock, because of the quantity, because of the variety of items that are offered on the platform. And these payments are sent via a federal ACH transfer. So, Amazon could send it wire, but wiring fees are very expensive and they don't always take a day. But the ACH transfer takes, 3 to 5 business days. And, while ACH debit transfers are free, ACH credit transactions to send money from different banks are usually around $3 per transaction. So that's $3 each time that Amazon has to come out of pocket to send to the local bank. So, Bank of Amazon, I'm not sure which bank that they use, has to send to Bank of Mississippi or Bank of New York, or, small local banks, bigger banks too, Bank of America, but these transfers have to take place. So with close to around 2 million sellers, Amazon sellers, the plethora of banks ranges from local banks to major banks. And some of these major banks may waive fees, but the smaller banks will not be able to eat those costs in the same way. So, assuming bi-monthly payments for 1.587 million sellers, we are looking at around 3,174,194 monthly payroll payments. And that equates to 38,090,328 yearly payroll payments. So I estimated that Amazon is spending around $114 million, $270,984 to settle payments to their third-party network. So all these payments, all these ACH transfer payments that are being settled for that amount of money based on the ACH transfer fees and the given 38 million yearly payments to all the sellers on the platform. And this is assuming that every single seller is paid on a bi-monthly schedule. And there's rumors that earlier Amazon sellers actually get paid sooner. I'm not sure if they get paid weekly. I'm not sure if they get paid daily, but certain sellers that have been grandfathered into the platform or who have been on Amazon for long periods of time get their payments disbursed a lot quicker. So this is just a rough estimate, and I'm thinking that it's around a minimum of what Amazon is paying. So they're paying around $114 million. So what does this mean for Amazon's bottom line? So Amazon's 2017 revenue was $177.86 billion, and its net income is $3.033 billion. So that $3.033 billion represents their profits. So they're operating at around a 1.7% profit margin for the year of 2017. So very small profit margins, which is why Amazon, using a cryptocurrency like XRP to settle payments, XRP can settle their payments a lot quicker, would ultimately add a lot of value to the stockholders that hold Amazon, because that 1.7% profit margin, what if it goes up to 1.8, 1.9? Those small little numbers mean a lot to the investor. So if we add $114,270,984 to the net income, it will increase Amazon's profit margin by 0.69%, 0.69%. So XRP transaction cost, if we take XRP, so if Amazon utilizes XRP to settle payments to their third-party sellers, and you remember that payments are being settled, cross-border payments are being settled all the time. You know, there are sellers in Amazon UK that are selling in Amazon US. There are sellers in Amazon US that are selling in Amazon UK, and they're getting disbursement checks for each country that they sell into. So that estimate of actually the number of payments that get settled. So, you know, you have an Amazon FBA seller in the US, they could be selling in Amazon UK, Amazon Germany, Amazon France, Amazon Italy, Amazon Spain, Amazon China, Amazon Japan. They could be selling on all these different platforms, and they're receiving a certain check from every single Amazon country platform that they're selling in. And Amazon is just expanding the number of platforms that they sell on. There's Amazon India. There are various different Amazon platforms. So using XRP, if they were to use this payment settlement tool in order to expedite sellers getting their money, cost would be almost negligible. I mean, XRP transaction costs would be much less than 1%. They're not going to cost $3 to settle a payment. It's going to cost fractions of a penny, or maybe a penny in the future. You never know. But it's going to be a huge cost saving for a company like Amazon. So in a low margin business like Amazon, investors are looking to these cost savings in order to increase the profitability of their company and look more investor friendly with greater upside potential. Just a quick example, and these are we're talking about micro savings on a very small level. And people may say, are these even important? But you take a company like American Airlines, and there was a recent story, I'm not sure if it was a few years ago or a little bit longer than that they started taking like one olive off the plane for every flight. And at the end of the year, they saved themselves $100,000. One olive. So all that weight that was projected to the weight of one olive projected multiplied by the number of flights that American Airlines did for that year saved them $100,000. And while it looks like a small number, these corporations are really looking to trim the excess, trim the fat from the company in order to maximize their profitability. These are investor-run companies, and meaning that they have to produce their quarterly reports 4 times a year, and investors are looking for the upside of continuing to hold shares in that particular company. So if Amazon can save almost 100% of their cost savings on transfer fees, on settlement payments to their Amazon sellers, they're going to do it. So, that 0.69%, almost 0.7% would increase their profit margin from 1.7% to, let's say, 2.4%. So 2.4% profitability now for Amazon. So we're looking better. We are looking better. So it doesn't stop here. I used Amazon's marketplaces as an example because I understand Amazon and how they run their marketplaces. But you have to remember, there's Amazon affiliates. All these YouTube videos with Amazon affiliate codes, they're all getting paid from affiliate links. And some people have multiple affiliate links. Some people have multiple affiliate links under certain companies, and they're all getting payments settled. All these lead to excess costs for Amazon because they have to transfer. Someone is eating the costs. Someone is eating the cost. There's, Amazon Web Services, Amazon Home Services, there's Amazon, there are various different Amazon platforms that settle payments to sellers or to service providers and various different things like that. And, Amazon is a company that will continue to operate on a certain profit margin, and they're going to pass those savings on to their customer. So how would saving $3 on an ACH transfer fee pass on to the customer? Well, on the individual level, it's not going to make much of a difference. But when you aggregate all these payments, you take this chunk of money, and basically what's going to happen is they're going to go one of two ways. They're either just going to continue eating those excess profits, or reinvest it into new platforms, reinvest it into new business acquisitions, or reinvest it back into their seller platform, meaning more robots at the facility, higher tech facilities, quicker deliveries for everyday customers, or decreasing third-party seller fees on the platform. I mean, seller fees can range from anywhere from, I believe, 7 or 8% all the way up to 15%, depending on what category seller's selling. So if you take that and you decrease it from maybe 15% to 14.5%, it's going to mean a lot for these major companies that are selling on the Amazon platform. So major corporations are going to feel obligated. Oh, I don't have the traffic that Amazon does on their site. Why don't I sell on Amazon? And if it's lucrative enough for them, they will do it. As you can see, an example would be like, let's take a company like Adidas, or even a government entity like a public company. Let's take a public service, like, for example, USPS. If you go on eBay right now, you'll see that Adidas has a store. You'll see that USPS has a store. But why are they selling on eBay, which you would consider a competitive platform, because they have to pay eBay, they have to pay PayPal for transaction fees? Why are they selling on these platforms? Why aren't they just selling on their websites alone? Why aren't they just selling their stamps on USPS? Why aren't they just selling their clothing apparel on Adidas? It's because the volume of eyes that they see is only limited to a certain to the traffic that they get on their website. If they're able to get the traffic on their website plus the traffic of another large platform, they will do it. It just has to be lucrative enough for them. So, back to what I was saying, payments are going to be clear and quicker, and Amazon will be able to pay their sellers maybe more than 2 times a month. And that is another big thing. What if the transactions are almost free? Amazon will have no problem paying their vendors that are generating 6, 7, 8 figures of revenue per year. They'll have no problem paying them more than 2 times a month. And, it's very hard, even for large corporations, to run a business, especially a cash flow intensive business, and get paid every 2 weeks. It's difficult. And especially when you don't have promised a settlement date after your disbursement period has ended. So, going to a large company, going to a $100 million company, going to a $50 million a year company and saying, oh, we'll pay you every couple of days, then they're really incentivized to send more inventory to Amazon FBA. They're really incentivized to keep on selling on Amazon because the cash flow turnover rate will be so great. And, so much, this is such a problem in the Amazon seller community that, there are payment providers that offer you your payments advance of the disbursement period. They take a fee, but what Amazon would be saving by using XRP would be completely cutting off all the excess waste that comes in between the payment and the settlement. And that settlement layer is just so powerful. Now I want to end this video, but I want to talk about one more thing. A question that I often think about is how much XRP will a company like Amazon or will a bank invest in? There's 100 billion circulating supply for XRP, and I believe that's the max circulating supply, right? Right now, what's in the circulating supply is around 38 billion. I hear a lot of people online saying that that's a large amount of XRP floating around in the ether. But, I've been doing some calculations and it really isn't. It's really scary, to tell you the truth, how little XRP there is if it's going to be adopted by companies, large corporations like Amazon. Because at the end of the day, Amazon is not going to spend 10 million or $20 million on XRP. I don't know if anyone has been to the XRP ledger stats or the rich list. There are people that own that amount of XRP. So you're telling me that Amazon, that generates hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue, is going to hold less XRP than an everyday investor? I'm not saying a lot of investors have this much XRP, but they're probably going to be on a certain level on that rich list, and it's not going to be like top 10%. It's going to be the 0.00001%. These are corporations we're talking about. They're not going to spend $10 million or $20 million on XRP when they decide to buy XRP. If they decide to buy XRP, because once again, I have no knowledge of whether or not Amazon is even working with Ripple or working with it, and has plans to implement XRP into their settlement layer and their payment settlement layer. Back to the 10 or $20 million on XRP, to be honest, they spend that gassing Jeff Bezos's jet. They're not going to spend $10-20 million. Amazon doesn't do anything. When you're dealing with these corporations, $10 to $20 million is pocket change for them. Every venture that they do, they're spending hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on that particular transaction. Otherwise, it's not even worth it for them to spend. It's not even worth it for them to spend, because they spend big and expect to get returns big. So if a company that is going to spend maybe hundreds of millions of dollars or even $1 billion on XRP at the current price, which is hovering around 60 cents, maybe 50 cents, 70 cents, they already own. I mean, they could own hundreds of millions of XRP with a big enough purchase. And that's not even a big purchase for them. And, you have to remember there's 100 billion max circulating supply of XRP. If a company like Amazon scoops up, 300, 400, 500 million XRP or even 1 billion XRP, I don't even know if they'll be able to get 1 billion XRP. That's one company. And last time I checked, Ripple's working with like almost 200 banks. The banks have more liquidity than Amazon. They could have more liquidity than Amazon. I'm not 100% sure, but almost 200 banks. There's literally not enough XRP for every single institution to buy this particular cryptocurrency. So what's going to happen is, it's going to be a domino effect in the end of the day. One company is going to do it, and other companies are going to feel obliged to buy it before the price gets too unreasonable. And there's going to be a tipping mechanism. Especially when XRapid goes live and these banks start realizing their cost savings. A company like Amazon, I think they would see some added value into that. They're going to go to the path of least resistance. So, how much XRP I think Amazon will hold. And just to clarify one of my facts, Amazon maintains 44% of the market share of online sales. I said around 50, but I'm sure that it will be 50 soon. So I've included some sources in the description below. Sometimes I do use Wikipedia as a source sometimes, and I do find it credible for statistics. I don't care what teachers have said in the past. The statistics are verifiable, and I think there's plenty of good information on Wikipedia. It's kind of hard to find peer-reviewed papers and stuff like that. You have to look at companies like Cardano and stuff like that to find serious cryptocurrencies that are publishing these peer-reviewed papers, which you can source. You can source information. There's much less information like that on a lot of cryptocurrencies. So there's a lot of speculation. So this is very exciting. it's scary at the same sense, because I feel like XRP is just ticking. It's just ticking, and I feel like there's going to be a catalyst. And if that catalyst happens, it's going to take a lot of people by storm. You know, a lot of people. This is one company. I analyzed one company, and this is Amazon, utilizing them as a settlement to increase the speed of their settlements. You know, and this is already considered an institutional banker's coin. Amazon will feel safe. This is a good cryptocurrency to invest in, and I think that it would increase their bottom line, and that's all it's about. That's all it's about at the end of the day. You know, Amazon wants to make money. Individual investors in cryptocurrency, they want to make money. You know, everyone wants to increase their bottom line, and if they can increase their bottom line in a way that makes sense for them, you better believe that they're going to do it. And you know, I thought I did this research, but if I did this research, I know, and I've noted the cost savings for something just as simple as FBA settlements. You better believe that Amazon, a multi-billion-dollar company that will probably be will probably have $1 trillion market cap sometime in the future. They're talking about it too. So, you know, and I'm sure they talked about it a lot sooner than I've talked about it or even thought about it. So I want to thank everyone for, you know, making it to the end of this YouTube video. Please post some suggestions of maybe things that you would like for me to cover, or things that you found interesting. Let's start a dialogue. I plan to talk about certain cryptocurrencies and things that I find particularly interesting. I find XRP fascinating, and, you know, thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it.